Thank you all for coming to listen to our speeches and what we stand for. It's very important when you make that choice at the ballot box. I'm a fifth generation native, been here all my life. I'm a coal miner, oil field, and gas producer, worker. I worked in all three fields. I've accumulated over about 45, 50 years worth of labor in those between me and my two brothers. We've got close to 100 years in the fossil fuel industry. You could refer to me as Mr. Fossil Fuel. That's what they can put on my name tag in Cheyenne if you have to let me. I'm a constitutionalist. I currently have been running as an independent. And the reason for that was I ran steadfast on the platform, Constitution, in the Republican Party. When I ran for Senate, I was thrown under the wagon and run over 2 or 3 times by the Republican Party. That's why I ran as an independent, as for commissioner, and I'm now currently back as a Republican, but I'm not back as a Republican wholeheartedly. I'm a constitutional conservative, and that's what I'll stand on. Thank you.
Since life is the first of our inalienable rights, as delineated in the Declaration of Independence, does Wyoming need a Constitution amendment to protect the unborn?
First of all, when Thomas Jefferson wrote the article, or the Article of Independence, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Those aren't the same definitions that we pursue today. Life back in that day was considered at birth. It wasn't considered a conception. Thomas Jefferson said, when you evaluate the Constitution, evaluate it in the air that it was passed, in the pretense that it was passed. So with that being said, the only way to go after abortion is to do an amendment to amendment to the First Amendment of the United States Constitution that protects religious rights. That's the separation between church and state right there. So you got to amend that to take care of your pro-life problems. Thank you.
Ms. Bowler, your view of nuclear waste storage in Wyoming. Several of the candidates have said they're against out-of-state waste being stored here. So there's the difference. Is it matter for the legislature to decide, or do you think that should be up to the people?
We already have nuclear waste in Wyoming. It's called in situ mining. It's blowing water into the porous rock to get the uranium out and polluting the freshwater aquifers. Once they're polluted, they're designated where you cannot use them for drinking, you cannot use them for livestock. They're basically unusable. And this has been happening for years in Campbell County. We need to stop that process. I'm not for nuclear, one little bit. Go down there and fight my butt off to try to eliminate what we got started. Thank you.
Can I rebut that?
How will you balance Wyoming legacy industries with green energy?
Well, like I said, I've never worked in the green energy field, but I have a patent, a wind patent, that I haven't got up and running yet. It's for personal home use. I got no use for that. I got no problem with home use of solar and wind. I think everybody ought to have that option. As far as big industry goes, I don't think Wyoming should be investing in anything other than coal, oil, and gas. That pertains to what we got coming with the data centers and that. I think they ought to all be using coal, oil, gas generated electricity. I believe that solar and wind, on the other hand, provides power as needed with the sun or the wind. It's not sustainable. We could do coal-fired gasification to produce a lot of electricity, a lot of coal that we could never mine for data centers, for example. I'm for replacing all renewables with fossil fuel, or never starting renewables in the first place. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Say it again. All right. So, how should we change our process of getting judges? think so far we've all agreed that what we're doing isn't working. What would you suggest?
Are we talking federal judges or
No,
state
we're
judges?
talking in the state.
Okay, well, that's up to the state. The federal government says all state judges, Article 6 says, Section 2, that all state judges have to comply with the United States Constitution, period. If they're not complying with the United States Constitution, we need to remove them from office. The framers were pretty smart in that instance because they never put anything in the Constitution that would make us as a state amend that. So the process that we should be using is our legislature to hold everybody accountable that takes the oath of office down in Cheyenne. And everybody that breaks their oath needs to be removed from office. That's the removal from office. That's how you stop everybody from taking control and running a party platform. Say the Constitution is the party platform. I hate to break your bubble, but the Constitution in the United States of America is the party platform for America. Thank you.
Okay. Start with Bill. What does the future of the Wyoming Business Council look like to you?
I don't see nothing there. What do you mean? Looks like? What does it look like to me? When you take money from the taxpayers and you give it to rich people, that's called redistribution of wealth. That's unconstitutional. That's the same thing you have in communism when you take all the people's money and you give it to rich corporations or government heads. I think it ought to be abolished myself. If you look back in the framers' day in 1787. It was pretty darn simple until the 12th Amendment come in, and that's when they started complicating it. That's when the parties took control of the system, 12th Amendment. And so anyways, I think we need to go back to the original Constitution. That's what I am, I'm an originalist. I stand for the original Constitution without all the amendments. By the way, all of them was done illegally, none of them was done in a convention. But anyways, I think the election process should be as simple as we can make it to get more people to the ballot. Then you'd have no problem with your 51% or your 50% plus one if you simplify the process. Thank you. When you're running these religious issues through a court or through a legislative system that's already been staple set in place at the federal level. In the Constitution, like the First Amendment, or we go back all the way back to when Jesus talked to the disciples and he said, what's reserved to Caesar belongs to Caesar. What's reserved to God belongs to God. And I know there's enough Christians in here to know that verse. So I know that you guys know by doing that, that's a sin. And there's no sin any greater, one sin's no greater than the other sin. A lie is as bad of a sin as an abortion. So with that being said, Jesus set the staples in place for division between the state and religion. Separation between state and religion. That's where we're at.